Well, welcome back to Stunt Hanger with Brodax and trying to take care of some other things. I've kind of been amiss on doing videos, and today I'll start off with camera in hand. And what this is my Millennium Minado that I'm building in tribute to Tom Warden, who I still believe is probably was the best builder and finisher in the hobby and my mentor. This airplane will be very similar to my Continental XL that I built, but after acquiring a Super Tiger 60, it will have a 60 in it. And if you'll notice the pilot that I've done here, he's a 1/6 pilot, and I'm going to have a detailed cockpit in this particular airplane. And of course, it won't be 100% scale, but we're not building scale airplanes. So we'll go back to the other camera, and I'll show you how I'm going to lay out the stabilizer with no plans, just all by eye. It's a swag method. The TLAR, that looks about right. So I'll be back. Welcome back to Stunt Hanger. Just a minute ago, I mentioned the swag method, and what that is an acronym for Scientific Wild Ass Guess. And it seems to work pretty well. So today we're going to lay out a stabilizer, an elevator stabilizer for this airplane. And how I do that is I take half the wingspan. In this case it's less the wingtips, by the way. In this case it's 28 inches. So the first thing I ought to do is we'll square up the trailing edge so that we have a good straight trailing edge for the elevator. That looks like the side to use. I just put my long straight edge on it. Brand new number 11 X-Acto blade. And we'll make a couple of passes on this. This is a 3/8 piece of sheeting. We're going to cut the shape, hollow, and sheet with 16ths to make a 1/2 inch stabilizer. Now, I've been making elevator stabilizers out of 1/2 inch solid pieces, but I didn't have a good solid piece this time, so we're going to have to build one up. The last large elevator stabilizer that I made was 1 3/4 ounces. I don't think we're going to do that with this built-up configuration, but we'll try to get it as light as possible. So then I take a sanding bar and true it up after cutting it straight. It's just a few swipes. Sight down it. Now this wasn't my lightest piece, it was the straightest piece. Okay, so we now have the trailing edge. Now as I stated, it's going to be 28 inches. So we're going to make 2 marks. One is at 28 and one is at 14, which is obviously half of 28. 14, 28. Okay, we're going to lay the center line and cut the end off. Hopefully I can find my square. Right here's a good one. Remember, I strictly work on the TLAR method, and it works for me. We're going to make this elevator stabilizer from the leading edge to the trailing edge, less the fairings at the fuselage, 3 3/4 inches. So we're going to mark up 1, 2, 3, and 3/4 inches. And we'll make a mark. Now we have to measure how wide is the fuselage at that 3 3/4 inch mark. So we'll take the tape and measure. It is 1 1/4. So it's 1 1/4 at the leading edge. So it's 5/8 on each side. 1/2, 5/8, 1/2, 5/8. And that is where our angle is going to come. Now, this is a different shape than I normally use. It has counterbalances on the end of the elevator, so we have to lay that out in the stabilizer in a streamlined configuration. So I just took a cup for mixing and I put it on the end here.
Mr. Speed Builder, Sparky, is standing out here trying to give lessons on how to build these things fast.
And we make
teams, I think I would listen.
2 round circles on the end. And then we're going to connect the lines. I know this doesn't make much sense as we're going here, but it will when I cut it and you see it. Get this put up out of the way. While I was at Brodak, I ended up getting a P51 canopy for this. I think will suffice just nicely. So we want these marks extended out to here, angled as such. And when you see this, you're going to go, what in the heck is he doing making the stabilizer have round tips on the end? Well, before we cut it, well, I'll go ahead and cut it out of there and it'll probably make better sense. Okay, here's what we have. It's completely round on the end. But what you gotta understand is that the trailing edge of the elevator follows that curve right around. And this out here is part of the counterbalancer. Super trick idea that Tom had. We used to do all kind of things. I had a buddy when I was younger. His name was Rob Gow, and if anybody knows where he's at, I'd sure like to run into him, because him and I built a lot of airplanes together, and I haven't seen him in 30 years. It would be nice to see him. And I'm going to get a Zona saw and saw this off. See the progress of these machines. Normally I would just do this on my bandsaw, but seeing that I'm shooting a video, I decided I just cut it off. So now we're going to cut leading edges. This is just showing you that it's just not that difficult to build these airplanes. Everybody tries to make it a mystery, but it's really not. People say, well, how can you build so fast? Well, I just know how to do it. That, and I do spend the time that's required to build these. I've only been working on this airplane a week. I don't have much done to what I normally would do. I would build a whole lot more than that in a week's time, but I've been dealing with some other issues, and of course recovering from Brodak. So here we have precision alignment there. We have the stabilizer already roughed to shape as such. We'll cut the center out. I'll put in some ribs and sheet it, and hopefully we'll lose a little more weight. And I'm going to weigh it as I go, because if I don't have to, you know, it certainly makes no sense to hollow it out. All depends on the weight. I get a sanding block and bring it down to the line. As Wendy says, leave the line on. Well, if nothing else, we'll have a giant pile of trash. What's your name? Logan, say hello to Stunt Hanger.
Hi.
You having fun here, Brodak? I sure hope you folks like these videos, because it's a lot of trouble to make them. There's been a couple of people say, well, we don't need them. I don't know that you need them or not, but my thought is to promote the hobby, sport, whatever you want to call it. Okay, it's roughed in. We'll spend some time finishing it off, but there's the stabilizer roughed out. Now let's cut the elevators to match. Now, I'm thinking that, well, we're going to have to square up this edge first. So let's square up the edge, and then I'll cut one and see. That looks about right. Method is how we're going to go on how much elevator it's going to take. I do like the effects of the larger stabilizer. The width, the breast of the stabilizer, it really helps lock the airplane in a turn. I don't know if my thinking's correct according to aerodynamicists or whatever. I just have found that the bigger elevator stabilizer helps tracking. We will cut the center out after it's complete to get it as close to the fuselage sides as necessary. I'll also add the blocks in after I have the basic shape. Okay, got that trued up. Now, in order to make this work, let's put a center line here. Remember, this is the TLAR method. And once I get one, I can just duplicate it on the other side. In about 10 minutes, this is done. And we got to come back around that way. So, we're tracing that out. Oh, I don't like that turn. Yeah, I don't like that. That's too much. So we'll put this on here. basically what I'm showing you here is you don't need a kit, you don't need a set of plans, you don't need anything. Okay, we have the elevator shape. So let's cut it free from the other piece of wood. Try to use grain for these elevator stabilizer and flaps that's straight. This is not difficult. Of course, the fitting, I don't know how long I've been working on this, less than 10 minutes. I will be posting this up on the web here tonight. And we'll just cut the end off there. Here, you can hear Danny's jet smoking in the back. Now, Randy Smith and some of the other people, they want to show you the rod method for shaping elevators and stabilizers. Well, that's fine, but they really don't have any curve to them. They kind of look flat. So I like shaping them in my hand and putting an airfoil on everything. I'll be installing my new hinges, or they're not new, they're from the 50s, in this model. And I'm going to give a demonstration on how that's done. And once you use these hinges, you will never go back to plate hinges. You want to cut this a little large. I'm probably going to put some CA on this tang because I don't want to break that off. So we'll get some CA and harden up that end before I take the just some thin set CA on there. Now I take a motor tool, Dremel, clean it up a little bit. Piece of rolled sandpaper, sand up to the line so that it fits the stab and elevator perfectly. And we're going to clean off this end because it's let's see how it fits. And that's basically how it fits together. You notice a little tang on the end there. And all we have to do now is make sure it fits the other side. Now we gotta sand this a little better. And you can sand and fit as you go. I mean, the sanding part is never done. I can't express to you enough how much sanding is really in this. There's way more sanding than cutting or engineering or whatever. You have to be, as my buddy Ron says, a sander of airplanes. And that fits pretty close. Yep, that fits pretty close. So now we just need to make a duplicate one of these. And we're good to go. Remember, this is the TLAR method. It's not a big deal. It's not hard to do. There's no rules in building an airplane. centers mount the horn in the next shot. I just wanted to show the basic roughing out of this and how long it really takes to do, which is, as you can see, no time at all. Of course, then we're going to weigh it and see where we stand on weight. And I can already tell you it's probably going to be heavier than the good half-inch 4-pound wood I had for the other ones. But you just can't always get that good 4-pound wood, so you got to make do with what you got. I got a lot of wood over there that several years back I bought when I was building the Thunderbolts that never got used, and it's kind of hard times now, and I don't have the funds to buy all brand new wood for every project, so I have to use the old stuff that I do have on hand. But as one guy said, my old wood is probably better than what you can buy. That's why I haven't sold it. Gary Hayjack had given me some blocks that were used as buoyancy in docks, and I used them all up, but boy were they good.
Well, today's Friday, we're all loaded, we're getting ready to head for Brodak.
Okay, let's harden that up and sand it off, and it should be
10:30. I should be there tonight.
be ready to go.
10:30, and we'll set up and start flying tomorrow. So I'm going to shut the camera
That
off.
looks
so
good.
When we pull into Carmichael's, I'll turn it back on.
Let's harden up the end here.
Well, we made it to the hobby shop. I'm taking this with my small camera.
And
Oh, yeah. And Stunt hanger. Robert Stewart. YouTube. Oh, yeah. All set up.
now that's the scientific wild-ass guess method to building a stabilizer. And we'll put it on a scale, see what it weighs. I'm going to shut the camera off, take a break. Probably hollow this out, put some ribs in it, and then I'll be back. But let's see what it looks like. Yeah. We're going to have to cut a little bit off of that. So, I need to cut this. This is my hero.
Oh, yeah, right.
Okay, tell him who you are.
I are him, Torborn von Hammerschlag.
This is the famous Jack Sheep.
Did I get famous?
And his wife Shirley. Jack Sheets has built more airplanes than anybody else. That includes me. He's faster than I am. Yeah. Knock the end off there. That is the Tom Morris hobby shop. Or I should say stunt hanger hobby. Put some C to harden that on there. I knocked the corner off. Not that it matters, because it's going to get cut away when I put in the inserts for the horn, but it would be nice to have them on there. Let me just screw this up. That's the famous Tom Morris. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. I know it is so difficult to film these things.
Coming here, talking to Sparky, looking at his new airplanes.
There we go.
Having a great time, and hopefully get my picture sorted out for Stunt tomorrow.
So now it's all about tinkering and getting it to fit exactly right. We're gonna cut off quarter inch. I'm gonna go ahead and step away from view and sand that because it's just so much faster and cleaner to do that. So I'll be back in just a second after I get these marked. If you have all the tools like I do, belt sander, drill press, lathe, grinders, benders, welders, it makes it pretty handy. Okay, I'm going to be just a second, sand this off. Roughed in. That is good. Okay, so let's clean this up. I'll spend a few minutes tinkering, get the fit perfect. But that's it. That's basically our elevator stabilizer. No big deal. Everybody's, you gotta figure this, that, and the other. And how I come up with these measurements was, it's 1/2 the wingspan, less the tips, and 1/2 the chord of the wing. So, or approximately, and that gives you around 25 to 30% of elevator per wing. I don't know if that's the correct figure or whatever. It's always worked for me. If it works for me, it'll work for anybody. No need to pi times radius square it to death. Just oh yeah, it looks about right. And that's what you do. Let's weigh it up and see what it is. I'll shut the camera off. I'm going to take a break. See how much weight we got to take out of this, because we still got horns, and I would like this to be a 1/2 inch, so horns and skins. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, we're going to have to do that. It's 62 grams. And I'd like it to be in the 50 gram range. 40 would be better. Whatever. But it ain't gonna happen with the wood I got, so I might airfoil it first and then cut the centers out. And what I mean by that is I'll take this cup and draw a circle here and a circle over here, cut it out, and then we're gonna geodetic ribs and skin it up with the 1/16 inch sheeting. Like I said, it's always worked for me. I mean, it's not a big deal.